Hi, welcome to the Pigskin Postgame Wrap. I'm Joe Cortez, joined as always by Jim Silva, Brian VanderBeek, who's back from AT&T Park and the wild pennant celebration there, and of course Ron Agostini.
How you doing, Joe?
I'm well. How about you guys?
Enjoy
your games tonight?
I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Let's start with Brian. Brian was at Escalon High School for
a little bit of history.
Yeah, Mark Lorero wins game number 262 all time tonight, 41-34 over Hilmar. That passes the 261 by Max Miller, who got most of those at Cordova High in Rancho Cordova.
40 years ago.
With players like, what was that about the other day?
Gerald Wilhite.
Kevin
Wilhite.
Yeah, the Wilhite brothers played at San Jose State in the NFL. Yeah,
good Spartans.
Yeah, there you go. Good game. I mean, really good game. Hilmar overmatched. Jonathan O'Brien's a terrific quarterback, doesn't have a lot of weapons around him, and Hilmar really can't run the ball. So it's him, and that was almost enough tonight. Escalon looked like they had this game won at 34-14 early in the fourth quarter, but Hilmar struck quickly, 3 and out, struck again to pull within 34-27 with 5.5 minutes left. Escalon trying to run out the clock, makes a boo-boo and breaks a run. Actually, they break a run. So again, they have the game won 41-27, 2:13 left. Hudson Harris breaks a 90-yard kickoff return to pull Hilmar within 41-34. Still 2 minutes left, so a 3 and out. They have 2 timeouts left, 3 and out. They can't get the 3 and out. They never get the ball back. They did try an onside kick after the kickoff return. It goes out of bounds. Escalon gets the ball and ices the game from there. Speaking of ice, Lorero got dumped. It was chilly out there tonight.
It was.
And Lorero got dumped, and it was a little emotional. As he gets on the football field. He speaking to his players about what this means. Wesley Dick tonight had 118 yards on 21 carries, scored 3 times. He plays fullback for Escalon. His dad played halfback for Lorero all those years ago. He's the only son of a former Lorero player on the team, but there are brothers and uncles and cousins, and that's just part of the Escalon program, what makes them successful and consistent over all these years. But Escalon 41-34, and congrats to Mark Lorero on win 262, and he's already chosen his successor.
That is?
Roger Canepa, his good buddy Roger Canepa at Central Catholic.
To break the record.
To break the record, because Roger's only 70 wins behind him, and he's
7 years younger.
7 years younger, and up until the last 3 years, these teams are only playing 12, 13 games a year. Now they're playing 14, 15, 16.
That's right.
And so as long as Roger wants to, and that's what Mark said after the game, hey, if Roger wants to coach another 20 years and put this record out of reach, more power to him, and that's his choice. If he wants anybody to break this record, he'd like Roger.
They're good buddies, yeah.
Good buddies. Like Roger to do that.
Well, good for Mark.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a guy and a great coach.
Yeah.
Obviously. You don't fall backward into 262 wins.
No. That's right.
Okay, I was over at Daniel Teixeira Memorial Stadium tonight for the big showdown between undefeated Sierra, the Bees' #1 large school team, and undefeated Oakdale, the Bees' #2 team. And it looked at first like this was going to be a blowout. Sierra jumped out to a 21-0 lead. They can really move the ball, and they play really good defense over there. I think we often think of Sierra with their spread offense as an offensive team, but they can really play defense.
I saw that against Central Catholic the other day. Yeah.
And then there was a big momentum swing. Oakdale finally got on the board, and then they forced a 3 and out. Darius Nelson returns the punt, 84 yards. All of a sudden it's 21-14. Sierra misses a field goal at the end of the first half. You just felt it kind of slipping away. And Oakdale had a chance to actually take the lead. They intercepted a pass late in the third quarter. They were trailing 21-14. 24-4.
24-20.
24-20. Thank you, Beak.
I follow your tweets.
Yeah. They were 24-20, picked off a pass, got to the 5-yard line, but Sierra stiffened, and
missed a field goal.
Oakdale came away empty when they missed a field goal. That was pretty much it.
That's good.
Harbison, later in the game, went for it on 4th down, deep in his own territory. Had faith in his big offensive line. Did a direct snap to Mark Pauley. He had 219 yards rushing tonight. picked up the first down, and that was it. So.
That's a defining win for Sierra in the VOL race, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, the Central Catholic was a big win.
Yeah,
but
now,
to
now
come back
they've
and
doubled down now.
They've
with the win over Oakdale.
doubled down.
That's right.
They did. And
Oakdale had such an emotional weekend last weekend at Levi's Stadium. Did you sense any kind of letdown there, 21-0?
not a letdown. You know, I asked Trent Merzon about it. They only had 6 days to prepare, and he said, "Nah, that had nothing to do with it.
I don't
That had
think
nothing
so.
to do with it." I don't want to say a letdown, but I think it's tough to get up.
Oh, sure.
You know, after a big emotional game like that, I think it was tough for the Oakdale players to get up in their first 3 drives. Here's Oakdale's first drive of the night: 1 yard, 2 yards, incomplete pass. Second drive goes 2 yards, tip pass is intercepted. Third drive, 1 yard, 0 punt. So it took them a while to get going. Here's their fourth drive though: 6 yards, 0, 40, 31, and then a 3-yard touchdown by Frankie Trent. So it took nearly a half for them to get going. And I kind of attributed that to the big emotional win at Levi's. But Sierra is very good and very deserving of our #1 ranking.
Okay. Big win for them.
Who wants to go here?
I'll go. I was at Johansson tonight for Downey versus Enochs. This was senior night for Enochs. But it was also a matchup of unbeaten MMC teams. That both teams came in 3-0 in conference. So this was going to be an important game in MMC race. Downey won it impressively, 40-14 over Enochs. Another big game by the Downey quarterback, P.J. Wilson. Rushed for 2 touchdowns, passed for 3. He had a great 2-point conversion run where he flipped over McCoy Ken on the goal line. Very athletic play. He's been doing this all season for Downey, and now they're in control of the MMC race. That was their 7th straight win. Their only loss was on week 0, so they've rolled to 7 straight wins. They just dominated the game. Enochs stayed with them early in the game. Sean Munoz is a nice player for Enochs, hardworking quarterback. And
tough runner.
Tough, very tough runner. He rushed tonight 21 times for 98 yards, but they couldn't get their quick tailback going. Downey did a nice job against Eddie Alderson, held him to 53 yards. Alderson did score from 12 yards out for Enochs' first touchdown. And then Enochs later marched to the Downey 5 and then fumbled. And that's like failing to return serve against Downey, because you have to score against them. Downey goes 95 yards the other way and they break open the game, and it's all Downey from that point on. A lot of weapons for Downey. Sean Bingham, 5 catches for 115 yards. Malcolm Green, 16 rushes, 70 yards. 32-yard screen pass where he basically flattens the entire Enoch secondary along the way. Tough runner. Isaiah Larry, their nice sophomore receiver, broke his collarbone last week. And they're hoping that he might be ready for the playoffs. I'm not too optimistic about that, but Bingham had to pick up the slack a little bit tonight. Downey will be off next week, so they'll have some time to heal some of those injuries, but big night for the Knights. They're the best team in the conference the way it looks.
So Enochs drops to 3-5 overall.
Yes, they're 3-5. They 3-1 in conference.
They need to finish second.
They need to finish second, because with 5 losses, they're not getting in as an at-large. Right. They still have Modesto and Grigori on their schedule. They've got to run the table. And get in as a second seed.
I think they play Modesto next week. For sure.
Well,
it's Enochs, Modesto.
Enochs, Modesto next week. Right.
Jimmy, you were over at Grigori Modesto tonight.
Speaking of Modesto, Modesto beats Grigori 42-7. You mentioned Oakdale coming off an emotional win. Modesto came off an emotional loss after losing to Downey 2 weeks ago. Then they had the bye week. So they went into this game, with that on their mind this whole time, and they took it out in Grigori tonight because it wasn't even close. It was never really close. Modesto went up 21-0 with a pick 6. Then Grigori scored. Demetrius Vincent, who's a nice player, as we've all know about, pulled Grigori within 21-7, and then Modesto just ran away with it. But just a few things. My first look at Nate Phillips. Fun player to watch.
Yes, he is.
And you like to compare players to other players.
I
Who
do.
does he remind you of, Joe?
Flutie.
I was thinking of someone a little more modern.
Johnny Football.
Johnny Football.
That was the first player that came into my mind. He just runs around and is tough as nails. I mean, he took some big hits tonight. And he just gets up and he just bounces right up. He had a little ice on his elbow tonight.
He and Wilson are as fun players as I've seen this year.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So Modesto defensively actually played pretty well.
They do.
They held
they
them
fly
in
around.
check. They held Grigori in check. I think Grigori had one decent drive, a lot of 3-and-outs. They had a fumble, a punt, botched punt, and an interception, and it was just all Modesto. So Modesto is what proved to me was that Ron saw the game of the year in MMC 2 weeks ago when Downey and Modesto played, and I think everyone else is
a notch below.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. Maybe Enochs can pull off an upset, but I think
now
it's pretty
we know.
clear.
Now we
Modesto
know.
and,
It just does look like the MNC is just going to get more and more.
Yeah, two pretty good teams though.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes, that was a nice win for Modesto too.
Yeah, they celebrated after with the trophy and pretty emotional win for Modesto.
How did they get by though? They gave up a lot of pounds to.
Well, there was you could see the size difference when I was watching warm-ups. I'm thinking,
they gave up a lot
might
of
be able
pounds
to
to
pound
Grigori.
these guys, but Modesto plays fast and
they play a little bit bigger than their size.
they do. They swarm to the ball. And they had a pick six. So defensively, they had a big night. And they have cool helmets.
They do.
They do.
They
Love
do.
those helmets.
With the cat
Looks like-
scratch.
Yeah, the cat scratch. I took a picture and posted
Yeah.
it on Twitter. I'm like, love this look.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Hey, let's look at some of the scores from around the district. One that pops out is Merced beating Pittman,
Well,
47-6.
I'm really surprised by that score. I saw Pittman last week play Buhack Colony, and they dominated Buhack Colony. I really thought Pittman would give Merced a good game, and could not hang with them. 3 fumbles in the first quarter or in the first half. I heard 3 fumbles in the first quarter. So
Speaking of alma maters, look at Ron Agostini's alma mater. East Union Lancers getting their 3rd win of their year.
They have tripled their wins over last year. Hey, every win helps with that program for sure.
All of our alma maters won. Did your alma mater have any idea of your alma mater?
my alma mater
It
doesn't
doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's
It's not a high school.
Ripon won on homecoming night.
Yeah.
But the team I used to cover from about 20 years ago, Turlock,
Oh, there you go.
beats Buhack Colony 48-47.
Wow.
Maybe
Wild
the game of
one
the
at
night.
Joe
That
Devlin.
may have been the game of the night.
Yeah.
Couple scores here. Modesto Christian 16-8 over Houston. A terrific defensive effort by Houston.
Yeah.
Yes, Modesto Christian is real sloppy, but they remain unbeaten in the TVL. The Crusaders do, heading for a showdown with Escalon. And Los Banos 47-41
That's
over
huge.
Patterson. That throws the whack wide open.
And it sets up the Los Banos-Pacheco matchup at the end of the season.
Yeah.
That could be for all the marbles there.
What do they call that? That's got a
I think they call it the Crosstown Clash or something.
Yeah.
something generic.
Something kind of generic, Anyway, another wild week. Week 7 is in the books.
It was a good
We're steaming toward the end of the season here.
Yes, we are.
They're all
Getting
starting.
closer
They're
now.
all starting to matter. Hey, make sure you join us here again next week for another edition of Pigskin Postgame Wrap, and check out all of our cool stuff online at modb.com. We've got the league pages, photo galleries, videos. Stanislaus Football Weekly. He'll be returning this week. He had
No, I won't.
Oh, that's right, World Series.
We'll talk about that later. I won't be here next Friday.
Tough duty.
Yeah. Excuse us.
Anyway, for Ron, Brian, Jim, I'm Joe. We'll see you here next week.